That day stayed with me, not because of what happened, but because of who had the courage to start it. She touched me before she said a single word, and my husband, he saw everything and didn't say a thing. I always knew he carried desires that didn't fit into silence, not dirty fantasies or shameful secrets, but refined ideas. Almost graceful, like the way he looked at me sometimes after sex, as if something was still missing. "Do you trust me?" he asked one night, his fingers slowly tracing along my waist. "Always," I said. He smiled, but it wasn't a full smile. What if we brought someone in, just to watch? I turned my face toward him, looking into those deep brown eyes that always knew how to undo me. "Man or woman?" "Woman," he said, without blinking. It should have scared me, but it didn't. It stirred something, and that's when she appeared. Her name was Elena. Skin like polished bronze, long black hair, messy, but in a way that felt intentional. Full lips that always seemed on the edge of saying something wicked. And those eyes, they said, "I've seen it all, and I want to see it again." She didn't arrive nervous. She arrived like she already knew she was wanted. And me? I was still pretending I had control. But the moment my husband opened the door and Elena stepped down the hallway in that tight, short dress, I knew the idea wasn't just his anymore. It was mine too. She didn't ask if she could. She didn't need to. Elena moved like my body was already familiar, already claimed. My feet were still grounded in the living room, but inside, I was already slipping. It was a heat that didn't burn on the outside, but deep within. Across the room, I heard the soft clink of crystal against wood. I didn't need to look. I knew it was him. He had put the glass down because his hands couldn't hold it steady anymore. Because now, he was burning too. But Elena didn't stop. The tip of her tongue traced delicate paths across my stomach. Her hands, strong but graceful, held me there, grounded, even as my mind threatened to drift away. When she moved back up, her lips brushing from my chest to my mouth, I finally understood. She wasn't fulfilling anyone's fantasy. She was crafting her own. His breathing had changed. I could feel it, even without turning around. It was short, hot, shaky, like even his body was betraying his plan to only watch. And I liked that. I liked knowing that what he was seeing was almost too much, even for him. I heard it before I saw it, the chair sliding back, footsteps, quick, deliberate, against the wooden floor. And then the silence, that kind of silence that speaks louder than anything else, the kind that says, he's not just watching anymore. Now, he's stepping in. Elena didn't flinch. She stayed where she was, above me, her long hair cascading over my bare chest. Her breathing, calm, measured, as if she had been waiting, as if she knew he'd break eventually. When my husband knelt beside us, I turned to face him, and what I saw in his eyes wasn't anger. It was hunger, but not the reckless kind. It was a hunger laced with love, a rare kind, wild yet tender. He leaned in, his lips met mine, firm but slow. I could still taste the wine on his tongue. Elena, beside us, simply watched. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't a game of jealousy. It was intimacy, a shared desire to see and to be seen. His hands held my face. One slid into my hair. The other landed firmly on my waist, right where Elena had been moments before. When his fingers brushed my still warm skin, I let out a sound I didn't even recognize as mine. He lay down beside me. Elena rose slightly, not stepping away, but making room. as if to say, now we're three. And there was no ego in that, no competition, just desire, just intensity, just the shared craving to make the other lose control first. And when they both began touching me at once, he on one side, she on the other, I realized my body wasn't just mine anymore. But strangely, I'd never felt more myself than I did in that moment, because for the first time, I let go. I surrendered to desire, no guilt, no hesitation, no apology. I was the center, and they moved around me, and yet my will had never felt so completely my own. There was no one leading anymore, no one to blame for the idea. There was only now, and now was fire. Elena was behind me, my husband in front, their hands mapping my body like it was endless terrain. One followed the other's trail, and every touch was a question. The answer? My whole body saying yes. I moaned, soft, restrained, as if even sound didn't want to break the spell. Elena kissed my back, my shoulders, the nape of my neck, and just as her fingers moved lower, he met me with his mouth, his eyes full of hunger, but also something deeper, pride. He looked at me like he was proud of what I had become. Like the woman lying there, sweaty, surrendered, craving another's touch, was the most free version of me he had ever seen. And I was. When he entered, Elena was still kissing me, still holding me. He guided me with his hands like tuning a delicate instrument. And my body sang. The rhythm between the three of us wasn't in sync. I could taste their breath, feel their skin against mine, the sweat mixing, becoming one. It was animal, but also art. Like every movement, every touch, followed a private choreography. It was instinctive, chaotic, and somehow perfect. Like rain falling on an old roof, each drop hitting differently, but together, creating something impossible to ignore. I no longer knew where one mouth began and another hand ended, whose breath was the deepest, who moaned for whom. All I knew was that I was alive, completely, and finally unrestrained. I woke to morning light slipping through the curtains, still naked. Elena slept on one side, my husband on the other, both of them breathing softly, peacefully, but not me. The first thing I noticed was the scent, a mix of wine, perfume, and dried sweat. On any other night, that might have made me recoil. But now, it made me close my eyes again, because I didn't want to forget. Not yet. Because the body recovers fast. But there are things awakened by pleasure that don't go back to sleep. I got up slowly, the cold floor grounding me. I looked at them. A man, a woman, and me. Three bodies that had collided the night before. Three desires that found each other in the dark. But were any of us still the same now? What if we had gone too far? What if one of us fell in love? Or already had? The thing about fantasies is sometimes they wake up truths that were never supposed to open their eyes, and some never go back to sleep. I walked to the mirror, saw myself. Messy hair, marked skin, eyes darker, as if they had been somewhere else. The reflection didn't lie, but it didn't tell the whole story either, because there were things in me now that didn't fit in glass. It was like my skin was carrying something not even water could wash away. Then I felt hands on my waist, his hands, my husband's, the man who had the idea, the man who watched me surrender and surrendered too. He didn't say a word. He just rested his forehead against the back of my neck and breathed deeply, as if trying to feel me from the inside. As if that was the only way to know if I was still the same. And I let him. He didn't speak. But I felt it. A part of him was still there in that moment, and maybe a part of me was too. I wondered if he still saw me the same way, or if he wanted me more or less, or if we had crossed a line we didn't even know was there. I don't know if it was the best idea we ever had, or the worst. But one thing was certain. No one talked about what happened. And maybe that was the most dangerous part, because what we don't say grows inside us. Some fantasies aren't just meant to spice up reality. Some change it forever.